Good day to you all, and welcome to our Lenten Reflections, sponsored by the Christian Life Center. Today I'd like to do something a little different. For parishes that have candidates for baptism, confirmation, and Holy Eucharist, they will be reading from Year A, from John's Gospel, the story of the raising of Lazarus. For parishes that have no candidates for baptism, confirmation, and Holy Eucharist, they will be reading from Year C, which is the story of the woman caught in adultery who was brought to Jesus. And we remember his response, "Let he who has no sin cast the first stone." I've been reflecting on Year C readings up to this point, but today I'd like to reflect on the reading of the raising of Lazarus in Year A. When I was 12 years old, my favorite uncle, Uncle Fred, had invited me to go on a fishing trip with him to northeast Canada. Well, you can imagine how thrilled I was to make such a journey at the age of 12. I packed up my things, my fishing poles and all my clothing and everything, and 2 days before we were scheduled to leave, Uncle Fred died in an accident, an automobile accident. I was devastated. At the age of, I was in college. When I was in college, my best friend and his girlfriend were on their way to give blood for a blood drive, and they were killed instantly in an automobile accident, the both of them. Not too long ago, in October, I lost my younger brother, Roger. No one expected in our family that he would be the first to die at such a young age. And certainly those of you who've lost both of their parents know what it's like, how different and how it changes our lives when both parents are gone. How difficult it is to keep those family ties together when the very core of the family is missing. Certainly, death has a great power over us. Death is so final, and death can be so sad, it can make us very angry as well at God for taking someone from our lives. The power of death. On the 5th Sunday of Lent, we are introduced to the story of the raising of Lazarus, Jesus' friend. The story is very, very touching, but ultimately, it's about the question of faith. Do we believe that when we end up into the cemetery, that God, through Christ, will raise us to a new life? What an incredible promise. Now, in the story, Mary is deeply hurt, and she sounds a bit angry at Jesus for the passing of her brother. And Jesus assures her that he will rise, and she says, "Oh, I know he's going to rise on the last day." But her concern was his immediate death. Her concern was her loss, her pain, her suffering. Jesus reassures her. And not only does he reassure her of eternal life, but he goes and raises Lazarus from the dead. Wrapped in cloth, he comes out, and Jesus says, "Untie him. Set him free." That's what the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ does for us. It sets us free from that great power of death, that incredible loss of a loved one in our lives. Let us have that faith as Mary does in the great story of the raising of Lazarus. God bless you during your journey of Lent.